hope. Those sparks fall down into the pan. We hope. That ignites the gunpowder you put in the pan. We hope. That ignition goes through a small hole on the side of the barrel. We hope. And that sets off the main charge. Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of hoping when firing these weapons. The British soldier, the American soldier, the French soldier, the Prussian soldier, the militia. Every soldier understands the weapon in their hands has a misfire rate of 30% in perfect condition. So when there is no wind, when there is no rain, when there is no humidity, you can count on the weapon going bang 7 of 10 times. Sounds ridiculous. We will do our best to make sure they operate properly today. Now, there are some prerequisites, things you needed to have before you were allowed to join this army. Prior to 1811, you had to be 5 foot 6 inches tall. 16 years of age, you had to be a male, and you had to have somewhere in your face at least 2 teeth that touch. The important part was they have to touch. If you want to be able to fire the weapon, you first must be able to open the cartridge. And that's one of these things here. Simply put, mine is a paper tube containing 110 to 120 grains of black powder. Had it been a live round, it'd be a white piece of paper instead of blue for blank, and you would have seen our projectile, a 68 caliber soft lead musket ball attached down here at the bottom. 68 caliber, 0.68 of an inch. Now, I don't want to scare you. James is not firing live. It's just that in the militia, you can make your paper whatever color you want. But in the Army, they tried to go with blue for blank, white for live, and obviously neither one of us has a projectile hanging from the bottom. We find when firing live ammunition, it cuts down a repeat visitation. But the twist at the top is where the teeth come in handy. Because during the loading procedure, you're holding the weapon in the left hand. You do not have time to untwist it, and if you're lacking the teeth, good luck gumming your way through the paper. You had to be able to bite open the top of the cartridge, pour some of the powder into the pan, close the frisson to hold the gunpowder tight, cast about. Now the rest of the powder, the paper, and the ball with the ball on top goes down the barrel. The rammer is used to seat that cartridge at the bottom, put the rammer back, and you're ready to fire one shot. Well, I can see how impressed you are. And frankly, you're right. Seemingly, this would be the very last thing you'd want to have in a battlefield today. But 200 years ago, this is the machine gun of the day. This, in the hands of the right fella, can fire anything from 3 to 6 times a minute. Okay, that's based on the fact that we have a competition every year, a speed loading competition. I've got 10 seconds on there, I got 12 seconds on there, but last year's competitor won in 9 seconds. 9-second load. I frankly think he did it in 8 seconds, but 9 seconds is what's on the trophy. Now, it'd be very difficult to do 9 seconds, 9 seconds, 9 seconds, 9 seconds, 9 seconds, 9 seconds without any problem. But conceivably, that's the fastest you could really get one of these things to fire. Now, I point that out because in the 20th century, 6 rounds a minute. It's nothing. So let's compare it to a weapon of the period, a rifle. And for those who don't know, a rifle is a different object from what I'm showing you. You can't call mine. Calling mine a rifle is like calling a bicycle a motorcycle. You've added something to the bicycle that's just not there. In this case, there is no rifling in mine. So this, however, has rifling. Rifling is a series of lands and grooves. Imagine a spiral staircase starting at the top of the barrel. It winds its way down to the bottom. That's going to cause the ball to come out with a spin, which, by the way, almost everything coming out of small arms in our time period is referred to as a ball. In the 20th century, we always hear in the movies and television the study of ballistics, never bulletistics. But when the ball is spinning on the way out of the rifle, it's highly accurate. So accurate you can pick off somebody dead between the eyes at 300 yards away. The Germans perfected this. Although rifling had existed for 100 years prior, they had perfected it by 1648. So nearly another 120 years prior to the War of 1812. They already have extremely accurate weapons that can get you a long distance. So why does every army insist on using these instead? Speed. You see, before you can get the ball to come out of his weapon with the spin that makes it highly accurate, he's got to feed it in with the spin. And that's where he runs into a problem. Because whenever you load and fire a black powder weapon, you leave behind a black powder fouling. Black powder itself is sulfur, saltpeter, and charcoal. When it burns, it does not burn efficiently. So it leaves behind a thick, heavy black residue, made up mostly of the charcoal, that tends to cake and coat and build. Well, here, I'll show you. My weapon's been fired twice since the last time I did this demonstration. This finger, believe it or not, is fairly clean. Oh. Cleaner. 2 shots. And no, I'm not going to put my finger back in my face. But when loading and firing a rifle, this is what gets in the way. Right now, this is greasy, because I wet it. Give it about 10 seconds, it'll cake, it'll harden, turns into a granular substance. It's actually very similar to gravel. And having gravel stuck to the inside of that barrel does not help him push a ball down that's the same size as the barrel. In fact, it slows him down. The first shot out of a clean rifle is going to take about 30 seconds to go through the process of loading, taking aim, shooting somebody 300 yards away. Congratulations, hope he gets a trophy. Now, load and fire the second shot. This slows him down to about 35 seconds, which may not sound like it's that much longer, but people are shooting at you. Every second counts. The third shot, the fourth shot, the fifth shot, the sixth shot. He's getting progressively slower. So by the time he's fired his highly accurate rifle 10 times, it's now going to take 2 minutes to load and fire the 11th shot. And yes, the grease patch, you take a hammer with a 4-inch handle, you push that ball down 4 inches, then the rammer comes out, then the rammer seats the ball, then the rammer gets put back in the pipes underneath. Now, he's got an accurate weapon. He's got a front sight, a rear sight. He can actually take the time, and he might as well take the time to actually aim it. So it's all going to be in the process of adding more time to his firing process. He's even got 2 triggers on that thing. We'll discuss those in a minute. So it's hard to know all the steps the first time, but when I go through the second time, I go faster. You may not see the steps, but they are still there. One step I'm not doing, I'm not putting paper down the barrel. I'll discuss more about that in a second. Blank, cartridge, prime, and load. So move the musket to the right-hand side of the body. Open the frizz to expose the pan. Make sure your flint's nice and tight. The next order is handle, cartridge. Reach back, grab onto a cartridge. Bite off the top. Prime, pour some of the gunpowder in the pan. Close the frizz to hold the gunpowder tight. Cast about. Now the rest of the powder, the paper, and the ball, if there was one, would now go down the barrel. In fact, the ball is so much smaller than the barrel, I could drop it in by itself. It would get to the bottom by itself. But if I then point downhill, it rolls out by itself. So you leave the paper wrapped around it to act as wadding. But either way, the rammer is used to seat the cartridge at the bottom. And I cannot stress how important it is to put the ramrod back. Some people think that's an excellent projectile. I can't disagree, but I think it's an awkward projectile. And the awkward part is going across the field and asking for it back. So, they tell you in the manual, tap it, be sure you put it back. Left in the barrel, good chance you're going to create a shish kebab on the other side. Okay, ready, set, fire.